honored to be receiving this award, but I think I accept it on behalf of the people in our organization that have really worked hard across the large organization to make the objective of having a diverse group of associates and leaders be part of the organization, not just part of my vision for the organization, but part of everybody's sense of what we have a responsibility to do.
You obviously see diversity as an obligation.
Well, I see it as a responsibility, and I also see it as an opportunity. We're a community service organization, and I don't understand how you could actually serve a community if you don't understand the community, and I don't understand how you could actually appreciate what the community needs if your leadership and your associates who are actually serving them can't relate to the community in general and the diversity that's in that community.
But to promote diversity, don't you also have to have a sense of cultural sensitivity?
Sure. In fact, I think you can try to promote diversity and without a sense of what's important to different individuals with different backgrounds, ethnic, religious, economic, geographic, that you can really miss important cues from individuals as you think about providing service to them, because we're a healthcare provider, and you think about all of the situations that we find ourselves working with people that are high stress situations. You know, it's one thing to miscommunicate with an individual when you're sitting around having a conversation. It's another thing to miscommunicate with a family when you've got one of their loved ones who's in a very, very vulnerable situation. So for us at the Seton Family of Hospitals, it is a tradition which reaches way back to when we came to Texas in 1902, but I think that in the last 10 years, all of us, including myself, better understand some of the things that we need to do in our organization to make sure that we are culturally sensitive, that our associates all have the kind of information they need and training and education so that they can fulfill their obligation to serve the people that come to us for care.
Tell me about the Texas Ranger analogy.
Sure. We were doing some work with a consultant who's done a lot of work for us over a number of years, and we were talking about the challenge you have in a big organization of how you get people distributed across the organization as opposed to clustering around a single problem. And it's much like you have when you're trying to teach young children to play soccer. How do you get them all from running to the ball? How do you get them to spread the field? So this consultant used this metaphor, one ranger, one riot, to try to convey the same thing we were talking about. And we were, as we were meeting for about 3 weeks, we were talking about one ranger, one riot as a good metaphor. And then our executive vice president, Jesus Garza, said, you know, I understand the metaphor, but you have to understand, for those of us that didn't know this, that in Texas, the Hispanic community has a very different experience with the Rangers, especially during the times when Hispanic individuals were protesting and for better working conditions, that their experience was not a positive experience. And as a consequence, we quit using that metaphor because it's a good example of how if you don't have leaders around the table that have knowledge about the various different backgrounds, what's important to different of our brothers and sisters, Hispanic, African American, Asian, Caucasian. You could say the same thing about Irish versus Italian, at least in the 19th century. That you can make some mistakes when you think you've got something that you're using in an organization to communicate a more complicated concept, and yet if it's something that is offensive to a group, an important group, any group within your organization, they're not going to hear the positive piece of that message, which is distribute your talent. They're going to think about what their experience was, or their parents' experience, or their grandparents' experience.
Do all CEOs think like you as far as diversity is concerned?
Well, I'm fortunate in that many of the other CEOs I know that I work with in Central Texas and in our national system do think like me. So I can only speak to the ones that I know. And I think that what they've learned is that it's an investment that has a return for your organization. So it's not only the right thing to do, it is also something that will enable your organization to be more successful.
Very good. Charles Barnett.